Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is the Real Sports Talk. And while the NBA Finals are still going on, there are some big moves that are set to go down this offseason. A lot of them appear that they are going to involve the Los Angeles Clippers, who have Chris Paul as an impending free agent. And really, Chris Paul is extremely frustrated with how it got painted in the media that he was the one that cost Vinny Del Negro his job. I think he was disappointed with how far the Clippers went in the playoffs. And Chris Paul has other options. I think that the Lakers would be an option. Obviously, the Atlanta Hawks are an option. The Dallas Mavericks could be an option. There are a lot of teams. The Knicks, I think, could make a play. There's teams that have cap space and are in a bigger city that Chris Paul could potentially go to. And if he decides that he doesn't want to be a Clipper anymore, it's not like the Clippers are the only team that can give him that deal. That being said, the Clippers can give him more money, and I think with this trade that reportedly could go down, it would all but be a certainty that Chris Paul would stay as a member of the Los Angeles Clippers. The reported trade is that the Los Angeles Lakers and Los Angeles Clippers would swap Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard would go from the Lakers to the Clippers. He would go for Blake Griffin and Eric Bledsoe, and it is a crazy deal that cannot actually go down until July 1st when Dwight Howard does become a free agent. But if this deal were to go down, I think that for the Lakers, this is a no-brainer because Dwight Howard, I do not see staying. He did not fit in as a Laker. It just did not work with him. It did not work with Kobe Bryant. In long term, Blake Griffin gives you that type of piece to build around a guy that is very good in the paint and still has some stuff to work on as far as his shooting. Obviously, he can improve on that. And he's still relatively raw, but he's a very good young player and someone that has played in LA, is very marketable, and can be the next face of your franchise after Kobe Bryant does retire. And then in the case of Eric Bledsoe is a very good young point guard. And I know that they have Steve Nash there for the next 2 years. He's under contract. Who knows if he plays both years. I think in this trade, you're not looking at right now. You're not looking at does Blake Griffin fit with Kobe Bryant. You're not looking at what do you do with Steve Nash if you get Eric Bledsoe and you decide that you want to develop him as your long-term point guard right away. You're not looking at both of those. You're looking at long-term, we have two pieces that we can help build this franchise around. And with Dwight Howard, I'm just not sure that they have that. I think that Dwight Howard is no doubt the best piece that will be involved in this trade. The problem with Dwight Howard is that his heart never really seemed in it in Los Angeles. And I know obviously he'd be staying in Los Angeles, but he'd be going to the little brother of sorts, and he'd be going to team up with one of his friends in Chris Paul, and I think that maybe that would get him involved. I think the chance of playing against Kobe and playing against the other LA team that things did not work out very well for when he was there, I think that would be intriguing to him. And like I said, for the Lakers, I would do this because I think if they don't do this, they run the risk that Dwight Howard walks to to the Clippers potentially if they were to somehow pull off a move to move somebody else out there, whether it's DeAndre Jordan, who we're hearing rumors of, him potentially moving to Boston, and the Doc Rivers and Kevin Garnett trade, which is a completely separate thing that I'll make another video on. Whether it's the Atlanta Hawks, if he were to team up with Dwight Howard down there, or Chris Paul down there, or whether it were to be the Houston Rockets, who I think it is all but a certainty that he would end up with if the Lakers decide to hold on to Dwight Howard and just see if they can try and convince him to stay there. Because him and Kobe Bryant did not work out, and Dwight Howard was really treated, I think, unfairly nationally. He got this reputation as someone who was soft and wasn't trying to play through injuries, and I didn't think that was the case, because I think for the entire season he was playing through injuries, and that was a lot of the reasons that his numbers weren't as effective. The fact that he wasn't getting as many touches. If he goes to the LA Clippers, the thing that makes this trade worth it is the fact that the LA Clippers basically guarantee that they get to keep Chris Paul. And while it's tough to give up Blake Griffin, a young player who has become a superstar before our eyes in LA with the Clippers, and I think that he only has room to grow, and he's younger than Dwight Howard by a few years, and is less of a distraction, less drama, and he's just going to go out there and play. I think that it still is you're getting the best player out of this deal because Dwight Howard, the thing that you get is A, you keep Chris Paul, and B, if you can get him to get back over 20 points and 14 rebounds, then you get the best center and a top 5 player in the game. You get a defensive force. And if you're able to bring in Doc Rivers, you still have Chris Paul there, you still have Dwight Howard, you're going to be able to supplement in some other free agents, and then reportedly you'd be able to acquire Kevin Garnett, who, I mean, who knows how much he has left, but he's still a valuable piece to a team with his leadership and the fact that he still does bring some on the court. And then maybe Paul Pierce, if they acquire him in the trade, it's still unclear whether they even would, and if they did, whether they would keep him or buy him out of his deal. But Paul Pierce is an LA guy, so who knows if that would end up going down. Again, I'm going to make a separate video on that. I think from the Clippers' perspective, if you talk to Chris Paul and this is what Chris Paul says needs to be done, then you have to make this trade. It doesn't matter whether it sucks that you want to get rid of Blake Griffin. You're going to keep Chris Paul, so it's not a big deal that you're moving on from Eric Bledsoe, who is really a very good backup point guard, but he deserves a chance to go start somewhere. So I don't think that they're going to have a tough time doing that, but they might have to bite the bullet, trade Blake Griffin, and hope that Dwight Howard plays a lot more like the Orlando Magic, focused, go out there and play my game type Dwight Howard. And I think that if Dwight Howard goes to the LA Clippers, there's less pressure on him. There's still going to be a lot of pressure because him and Chris Paul, there's going to be a national spotlight, but it's not the LA Lakers. It's not the Lakers that had Kobe Bryant, that had Shaq, Jerry West, Magic Johnson. It is not that same franchise, so the expectation level from the fan base and really across the country is a little bit different when you put on that jersey, and I think that that would allow Dwight Howard to have a little bit more fun. And I think that when Dwight Howard has fun, as much as it pisses some people off, that is when he is most effective on the court. So if you're the Clippers, you got to do this. If that's what keeps Dwight, or if that's what keeps Chris Paul there, you hope that it does keep Chris Paul there, and it doesn't end up like you sign Baron Davis and Elton Brand walks on you like they did about 5 or 6 years ago now. And then again, if you're the Lakers, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do this deal. I don't see them keeping Dwight Howard. If they do, you already saw what Dwight Howard did there last year. And if Kobe Bryant says he wants to play 2 more years, by the time Kobe Bryant's done, Dwight Howard's going to be 29, 30 years old. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So I think that moving on from Dwight Howard, getting Blake Griffin, who can be the face of your franchise long term, and then Eric Bledsoe, who can be your long term point guard, which the Lakers really have not had a very good long term point guard in a long time. Derek Fisher overall, he hit some clutch shots, but he was never a great overall point guard. And Eric Bledsoe has the potential to develop into a very good point guard, both scoring and distributing. So I think that this is a trade. In the end, it's going to take a lot to get done. I would not be surprised if it falls through, but I would not be surprised if it gets done. Dwight Howard for Blake Griffin and Eric Bledsoe, switching spots on the LA teams. Would you guys do it? Let me know who you think gets the better end of this deal. Can Dwight get back to being Dwight, really, and what does this mean for the future of Blake Griffin? So let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, Facebook.com/TheRealSportsTalk, Section215.com, CashKellyNAC@gmail.com.